Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Christian Hanna Horror, and today, guys, is going to be a decent little video, so have a seat, relax. I'm going to talk to you guys about 3 films that I have rediscovered, so to speak, and have fallen in love with, and just want to kind of talk to you guys about them and give you my brief synopsis and review and kind of retrospective of these films to see if maybe you guys want to revisit these, give these a shot, or if you haven't seen these, I'll keep these obviously spoiler-free in the sense. So we're going to be talking today about the first 3 Amytyville horror movies. Now, when I picked up this set, it was with the preconceived notion that I assumed I would like all 3 of these movies. I had seen the first one, I had seen a little bit of the second one, and I had not seen the third one, actually. So when I was looking at movies I wanted to get, Blu-rays I wanted to upgrade, this Amytyville set just was staring me in the face to get, and I got it basically right at the tail end of it, you know, being out of print, going out of print. They're not impossible to find still, but obviously, spoiler alert, I do recommend getting your hands on this trilogy if you can get your hands on it. So with that being said, you know, I got this set, and I decided I was just going to binge all 3 of these and give them a shot, because I had seen the first one basically years ago on a cheaper DVD that I had gotten, and I didn't remember being affected either way, and this was probably 10 years ago. So real quick, we'll jump in with each film, and I'll give you guys basically a mini franchise review, although there was a lot more than this for the Amytyville movies. Alright, so starting with the first one, the Amytyville Horror. Now, right off the bat, in my opinion, I always find a movie like this to be more of an adult type of horror movie, because it's more so one of those movies you really have to sink into, digest scene by scene, understand the story, understand the darkness of what's going on. And while it's got some beautiful shots visually with the camera work and stuff like that, it's not necessarily a boo gotcha kind of movie. And for me, it took time to love and adore this film the way I do now. Watching this film now at 27 as opposed to watching this film when I was probably 16, 17, you definitely see it through a different lens. You appreciate movies more, and then your tastes kind of change as you get older, and just kind of the way you enjoy movies. And the Amytyville Horror, for me, is pretty much almost my exact type of horror movie. Now, I love, for me, the equivalent of the Amytyville Horror, this is a good analogy I can try to come up with. It's like watching a box burn. To me, watching something burn and just disappear is fascinating. I wouldn't call myself a pyromaniac, but I enjoy to watch things burn. I love the heat from burning things in the backyard. Obviously, I'm green. I'm not just destroying plastic on a daily basis, but I have like a box I need to get rid of. My trash is full. I'll take it in the backyard, put it in my pit, and I'll burn it. And I can sit there and watch it. I can watch the process. That's kind of what Amytyville is to me. Now, of course, that may not be for, you know, everybody, but I do think that the Amytyville Horror is a bona fide classic. You've got a great cast in this. You've got great performances throughout this movie. The cinematography is amazing. The house looks incredible. I love the Amytyville house. It's as iconic for me as it is, you know, the pumpkin for Halloween, the 78 jack-o'-lantern, or it's as iconic as, you know, the imagery of Friday the 13th of the silhouette, like on the first poster, as you can see behind me. It's iconic to me. The Amytyville house is purely, absolutely iconic and just brilliantly horrifying. And I really, really love this movie. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's, while I don't think it's a 100% perfect movie, there could be a couple spots where they could have kind of push things along a little bit further. We're talking about a film from the late 70s, so really trying to critique it in 2019 is, in my sense, a little bit silly. But this movie, for all intents and purposes, is a fantastic, classic horror masterpiece. And this is definitely going to be a movie I'm going to love to rewatch again and again, because it's got so much foreboding atmosphere. So I give it an 8 out of 10. The special features for this has an audio commentary with a making of that's really fascinating about this. So the first Amytyville Horror, whether you get it on a DVD, whether you try to get a Blu-ray copy of it, whether you get the Scream Factory Trilogy box set, I guarantee you This movie will impact you whether you fall in love with it or not, so definitely give the Amytyville Horror a shot. So coming in next, guys, it's the Amytyville 2, The Possession. Now, when I first picked up a DVD of this movie probably a year ago, you guys were all telling me, Christian, the second one, it's better. And when I watched the first one, I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. Now, the perfect way for me to watch a movie is lights out, phone in a different room, relaxed, blanket on me, something to chew on, whether it be some popcorn, whether it be a little sucker to suck on, and a nice cold drink. And I did that with Amytyville, and it was incredible. Now, this movie, everybody told me, the majority of people said they loved it. I saw like the first 15 minutes on a DVD, and it was just breaking my heart because the transfer wasn't great on it. I'm becoming a snob in the sense that I just love to watch my movies on Blu-rays with nice crisp transfers, I know. But I got this set, and I was like so excited to watch this movie. Do I think it's better than the first one? I think it's just as impactful, yes. Do I think it's just as iconic? Probably like 90%. Because this is a sequel, the iconism, whatever the word is, of the first one is so pure to me. This one definitely had me more intrigued scene to scene. So maybe I do think it's better. You know, I'm trying to figure out how to say I really love this movie and how much I enjoyed it without saying anything negative that steps on the original. But this movie really intrigued me, affected me. The storytelling in this was different because it's really more about this family with kids. And then as the movie progresses, they start diving into things that are just like, am I seeing this? Is this really about to happen? Stuff with the brother and sister, with the actual possession. Now, I'm a big fan of anything that's to do with possession and how people get affected and how people, they lose their sense of self in a movie. That's got to be the scariest thing on the planet to me, guys, to not have control of myself. That freaks me out. And this movie dives into that. You've got a great cast in this movie. Uncle Paulie is Burt Reynolds, I think is his name. He actually... not Burt Reynolds, Burt Young, excuse me. Burt Young is the father in this, and he definitely has an aura about him. He's not one to mess with, so to speak. You know, in Rocky, he's the mean brother, and in this movie, he's the mean dad, but he's very maybe God is the word, maybe religion's a better word. He does not like, you know, religion, God, but not literally. It's subtextually, and that just adds the tug of war in this family, because you've got this mom trying to control and keep her family together and fight what's going on in this house, and then you got this man, the dad, nothing's wrong, and so the breakdown of that is what causes a possession to be able to happen. I've always been able to try to make sense of that in my head, and this movie just builds a story arc very well, very perfectly. Of course, the house is just as iconic in this. The characters are just as great, probably more interesting, to be quite honest. And the payoff in this movie is great. Every time I think it's about to be climactic, it just rose it a step further, and it was really incredible. So, maybe I'm already eating my own words, but you know what? I do think that the Amytyville 2 is just as good, if not more enjoyable for me. Now, as far as better, I'll let you guys decide that, because I don't really know what's better or worse. I think it's all just more enjoyable, because there's really nothing wrong with the first one. But The Possession, Amytyville 2, is not to be taken for granted. This movie is a masterpiece in early 80s horror. I think it was early 80s. It was either late 70s, 82. This movie was absolutely fantastic, and a great follow-up to the lovely Amytyville. Alright, so rounding off with Amytyville 3D, guys, it's interesting because you look at the cover of this, I was just going to see like a gimmick, silly movie. And would I call it somewhat gimmick? Yes. Would I call it silly? No. Was I surprised with Amytyville 3D? Very much so, guys. I really loved Amytyville 3D in the context of what it is. It does have a good story. The only thing that's gimmicked, so to speak, is just some of the effects. But it's not effects done just for the sake of the movie. I actually think that the things that they do in this movie, as far as more or less the creature type feature that this is, could have been done just as a 2D movie with not having the the gimmickry, or whatever the word is, for a 3D effect, and still just been a really good Part 3. I don't really have any complaints with Amytyville 3D. First off, you got to understand, when you go into a movie called Amytyville 3D, gauge your expectations on what kind of movie it's going to be. You can't really do a foreboding storytelling horror movie that has a 3D element. It's got to have that level of intensity, visual intensity to it to live up to the name and the style of movie that it's going to be, and it does. Obviously, I couldn't watch this movie in 3D. I think you got to have a 3D style. Yeah, you have to have a Blu-ray 3D player. It's not like the Friday the 13th glasses. You got to have the Blu-ray 3D, a Blu-ray TV. And I can say this, in my opinion, if you could experience a movie like that, it would probably be really enjoyable, because I definitely say that this is over the caliber of what the Friday the 13th 3D movie was, although that was probably really enjoyable back in the day, and definitely over Jaws 3D. Jaws 3D was probably just silly gimmickry in the theater, and just, while it was fun, it was not going to be as good. I actually think that this movie was a really good 3D movie, because it didn't just do 3D stuff for the sake of it. Whenever they had something pop out on screen, it still kind of got me when I was watching it. And I really, really liked this movie. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. Like I said, gauging what this movie is. So, with the rest of these, Part 2 has a great interview with the director for the special features. This just basically has the 2D and 3D versions with the theatrical trailer. But in essence, guys, like I said, of course I recommend getting this trilogy if you can get your hands on it, but the real purpose of this was just to kind of talk about all these movies and not space them out in a 3-part review for each, because I just wanted to kind of really just talk about these movies because I really like them, and I'm going to pose a question at the end to other fans of this franchise. So to cap it off, I really love the Amytyville Horror. I do consider it an absolute horror classic staple masterpiece. I think it was just such a great revisit. And I'm glad, as I've gotten older, I've wanted to revisit some of these films that didn't really strike me at the age of 17, 18, or even 19, At 27, it's funny, at 37, what kind of movies will I like in terms of horror? Will I like, will I dive into something else? Will I, But my tastes, I think, are evolving, and, well, I would never say I dislike the Amytyville Horrors. Now I want to watch more movies like that, specifically the first one, which is such good storytelling to me. So I definitely recommend you guys going and checking out the Amytyville Horror movies, the first 3. Now, my question to everybody is that the Vinegar Syndrome box set is basically the next 4, and I've been told by some people, don't bother. I've been told by other people that they're silly fun. Are you fans of some of the latter sequels past Part 3? Because I haven't seen any of those, and I'll get the set if I get enough people that kind of tell me, hey, just go for it. I know I've got a buddy that's getting the set, and he's kind of like my guy that I'm gonna have him binge them and let me know. But for as far as the Amytyville, I think these movies are absolute classics, guys. These first 3, I really do think they're good. Don't be fooled by Amytyville 3D, because it's not a 3D movie in the sense. It's actually a good storytelling horror movie that's kind of like a rogue creature feature, which was quite a surprise. So thank you guys for watching this video. That's my kind of review retrospective on the first Amytyville horror movies. I really like them. I hope you guys enjoy them too. Let me know your history with the films and all that great stuff. So this is Christian Hanna Horror, and we'll see you guys next time.